it breaks down that it's funny. Shams Charania, who's an NBA newsbreaker, breaks the news on my Twitter feed. And I think he got the news basically just checking Shohei's Instagram feed the fastest. I think
Just
that's how he
happened to
got the
see it at the
news.
right time.
Or he was just like, he had all the things moving, like refreshing constantly, like,
Wow.
and he got it. So then you see that he signs the Dodgers, and it's 10 years, 700 million. All of the memes and all of these sports business websites and these Instagram accounts were like doing like, oh, 700 million. He makes more money than all of these teams' payrolls and blah, 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 blah. And I was screaming at my phone reading this, going like, he's not making 700 million in 10 years. They're deferring a lot of this money. Like, I immediately said that because that's just the way that they do business.
Yeah.
And so we had to sit with this for a little while, and every Giants fan is writing up, oh, here's how we here's the next steps to what do we do now, and
Yeah,
and,
where do
and,
we
I,
go
and
from
I'll
here?
actually read Grant's because Grant's is really good and he has a good idea, and I think Mark DeLucci as well had the same idea, which is really to pivot to pitching, and so all the stuff is happening. I'm just pissed, and I just hate all of these accounts because they obviously don't know what they're talking about. And then just today comes out, who had it? Was it Morosi who had it first? Or was it, who's the USA Today guy? Nightingale? Did he have it first?
Yeah. I honestly don't even know because I got it from you guys.
So
I was cleaning the house and I got a text from you guys that things were happening.
so turns out that not only is the money deferred, but like 96% of the money is deferred.
Right.
Now this is just according to what we know. Obviously, we don't have access to these books, so who knows? Maybe the story will change tomorrow. But the tweet that we saw was that 68 out of the $70 million, and now this is his average annual value of the contract. We don't know. It could be he made 40 million in the first 3 years and then 100 million in the last 3, whatever that number is. The AAV was 70 for 10 years. So we learned that 68 of the 70 million is getting deferred. So the Dodgers are only paying him $2 million for the seasons. And I guess because of the accounting and because of the way that they do the books, the AAV of the contract based on the deferment comes out to less than $50 million or something. So that is the story today. And here's why it bothers me, because I knew it. The second I saw the Bleacher Report the Bleacher Report article, there was an excuse. Why are the Dodgers deferring all of this man's money? And not only is there an excuse, there is the line from the Dodgers is Shohei came to them with this idea of deferment. So it's like, this guy, he's not about the money. He's just
Well, the report that's out there right now too is that they went to every team with this offer. Every team that they talked to, they gave this same offer to. So everybody had this opportunity to do that. And that was now that's being reported by Talking Baseball, John Boy Media.
Mhm.
Which is a legit source, but I'm sure we'll find out more in the coming days. Stay glued to The Athletic if you have a subscription, because I fired up my Kindle last night. My Kindle, my whatever, I don't know what it's called now anymore, but the big Kindle tablet. But I got it already, and now I have bookmarked The Athletic on there because I don't have an iPad. That old iPads you can't get the Athletic app on anymore.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. So I have to buy a new one. I'm not going to spend $500-600 when I have this like $80 tablet that I can get it on the web. So the fact that they brought it to every team, is that truth? I mean, is that going to be something that we find out as truth, or is that going to be just another spin job by Nez, his his fantastic agent who's getting them this great deal.
Okay, so here's the line. The reasoning is so the Dodgers can continue adding to their roster with the hopes of competing for championships in the immediate future. There are so many things wrong with that sentence. How many years in a row have the Dodgers won the West?
Oh God,
It's got to be like
8,
12 or
9.
something.
I mean,
Yeah, the Giants
yeah.
won it in 2012. I remember that.
Well, 2021. Remember, we 107 wins and they had
there you go.
106
There you
wins.
go.
So
There
they
you
haven't
go.
won it in a row. We've taken it that one time, but going back to like 2016, probably 2015, maybe. I think that was the only time that we took the West.
So essentially, they've been competing this entire time. So
Yes, yeah.
F you on that part of the statement.
Exactly.
They can continue adding to their roster. They signed Mookie Betts. They signed Freddie Freeman. They re-signed Kershaw every single year. None of that impeded their process to sign Shohei Ohtani. So if the money was deferred or not, they were going to continue adding to the roster. You know why? Because they make a lot of money being the Los Angeles Dodgers. They would not have stopped if Shohei deferred half instead. It's not like the Dodgers are like, sorry guys, we just cannot afford another. Everyone, last 2 weeks, this is your paycheck, and we're bankrupt. We're done.
Yeah.
So that kind of statement and that spin, and I hate it when people publish it because it's like, and I know they're just getting information up there, and this is where we're going with AI anyways, and Sports Illustrated hires AI writers and creates fake avatars of people.
Well, they don't even have to hire them. They don't have to pay them a dime.
Exactly. So I just find this whole thing of, oh, it's Shohei's idea here. Look at this. Now, if you're a baseball player, if you are let's say Juan Soto. Okay, Juan Soto's a free agent after this season. The Yankees just traded for him. Great player. We've been talking about Juan Soto for a long time on this show, just because he would be the kind of guy the Giants would spend over the top for. Otani as well. Yeah. Like those are kind of the two guys. And if you're Juan Soto, and if you don't defer your money in your next contract, you are not being a team player. You are not helping the organization add on to their roster so that they could compete for future championships. How BS is that statement? Like, if I am the Players Association, for one, I'm like, God, glad that Shohei, that number, that 10 for 70 is what people are going to think of all the time. But at the same time, they're going to be like, well, now is this where all these, the best player in the game, the guy with the most leverage, gave up a lot of that leverage to sign with this baseball team. Does that mean that the next free agents, that is expected? And that's what these teams are going to hold them accountable to, is you now need to defer some of this because so that you can help us get under this collective bargaining tax. Like, and then on the other side, if you're the owners, because I had this conversation in the same Discord, which was, I was like, if you're the owners, are you happy about this? And is there going to be any rushes to kind of amend the collective bargaining agreement in any way? And then I think it was who had the statement? It was Jeff Passan. He said, for anyone wondering if MLB will challenge or cancel Ohtani's contract, the answer is unequivocally no. There's a specific article in the collective bargaining agreement that addresses this. It's very clear. Deferred money is limitless. And to that, I say, yeah, on a wink, wink, nudge, nudge deal where the owners are like, hey, guys, we'll keep this in here if we need it. And then the Dodgers are like, well, we're going to take this to the limit and see what happens.
Yeah,
the owners are like,
which is no limit.
Dude, why didn't you just give them $1 billion and just reset the market in that way? Like, I can't imagine you're the I'm not even going to say a team that's not even trying to compete, so I won't say the A's. trying to think of a small market. You're the Twins.
Pirates.
Twins are Pirates. They both had pretty darn good seasons. Twins better than the Pirates. But if you're like, all of a sudden the new way of doing business is to give so much money, and so much of it is in deferment, and some of these owners aren't as rich as others, and I can't imagine they're like, yep, I like where this thing is going, because it just hurts them, and it helps teams like the Dodgers. It helps the destination places, Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox. The Giants are not there right now, unfortunately. And I also said this to a buddy. I was like, look, if that was the Giants doing this, I would go, man, that is savage. And then I would go, but I can't. I have to just root. This is my squad. And so I don't blame Dodger fans for looking at it at that way at all. Like, that's all you got. This is the business. This is just how sports business works, and nothing that we can control outside of, maybe not paying as much money or whatever for our tickets. But no one does that. That's why sports, especially in a market where you have a loyal fan base, like, that's why it's so valuable, because fans aren't going to give up on stuff like this. And most of them are unlike us and aren't even going to pay attention to this stuff that closely. So,
right.
But yeah, that whole thing, that conversation frustrated me, because the piece is coming. I don't know if Bags is going to write it, because I saw some tweets by Bags today going like, wait, hold up. This is like quite the scheme. But somebody's going to write it, and somebody's going to write it from the other side, which is, hey, the Dodgers are light years away. This is what the Warriors did when they got KD. The reason why the Warriors were able to get Kevin Durant is because the cap was going up because of the new TV deal. And what the owners could have done, or I'm sorry, I think the players could have done, is they could have done something called smoothing, where they take all of that new money and they kind of spread it across the future years. And the players were like, no, let's just bring it in now. And so the cap raised up for the Warriors to a point where they could actually bring in another top talent. And that's how they got Kevin Durant. So somebody's going to write the article that says, look, the Dodgers are just taking advantage of what is already there. And so I get that too. But this is at the expense of maybe an athlete who is not, like, what if Shohei, what if Shohei gets hurt and the Dodgers kind of lose out on this thing? Like, that would be like the only way that owners would be like, okay, we're not doing this anymore. Now, I don't want to wish that on him.
Right.
For real.
But it's part of the game. That's the thing, is it is part of the game. It's a reality. It could happen. I mean, that, this whole thing, and Denise asked me the same thing, because I got home and I guess I warmed up on our conversation by telling her all about it. And she's like, well, as a Giants fan, if the Giants did that, how would you feel? And I said, well, of course I'd look at it and say, this is great for us, because now we can also get Yamamoto. Now we can also get Bellinger. I mean, and then we can defer money that way as well. But then I would say, then if we went on to win 3 World Series titles, you'd be like, that's great, because we kind of, fudged around the cap and everything. But it will never compare to 2010, 12, and 14, which was done by bringing up the youth, the pitching, little bit of hitting, Buster Posey. When you look at Brandon Crawford, you look at Brandon Belt, you look at those types of players. The Giants kind of did it from within. Is that a thing anymore? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Arizona's doing it. A bunch of other teams are doing it as well. Texas Rangers went out and bought a bunch of players, but they also had some good youth players in there. The thing is, you have to have an ownership that will sign off on doing something like this. Again, you do have to pay later. You've got to pay that $68 million. Can you rework the contract when that comes about? I would assume. I mean, it's still a contract. You can rework that contract if you want to and say, okay, now we talk to Otani and we're going to do it for another 10 years, even though he's not here. He's getting $2 million a year. And then in 10 years, because he doesn't need the money, maybe he doesn't need the money at the time. He's getting 50 million, close to 50 million in endorsements every year. And that's going to go up because now he's a Dodger. I was going to say now because he's in LA, but he's been in the LA area for a long time. But you can't market the Angels the way you can market the Dodgers. It's a little bit different. So yeah, you have to have ownership. I don't see Giants ownership signing off on something like that. It kind of feels like Giants ownership likes to clear the books. They don't like to have things hanging on the books for this long anymore. Back in the day, yes, when you were signing Belt, Posey, Crawford, all these guys, Bumgarner, Lincecum to extensions, it was different. It was a different feel. It was a different time. These were extensions for young players that you were getting for market value or under market value. You were hanging on to those guys for a very long time. Well, I shouldn't say Lincecum because he always liked his year-to-year.
Yeah, he liked those
Yeah.
short deals.
But then, but when you look at it now, this ownership, Charles Johnson and family, they kind of lean a little bit more towards clearing the books. Let's keep things clean. I don't see them as the type of ownership that says, instead of a 10-year deal, let's make it an essential a 20-year deal, because that's what you've done with Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani. And again, I don't know the Dodgers contract situation that well, but I know just from looking today, those three players are going to be paid for like the next 17 to 20 years. So again, will a Pirates organization want to do that? The Rays? No. The Red Sox? No. The Yankees? Maybe Cashman starts looking at that. But again, the option's been there. It's been there for years. People have been doing it for years. And nobody else is doing it to the extent that the Dodgers are. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, if they're able to lock up Yamamoto, if they're able to lock up Chapman, if they're able to lock up all these other players that they want to just keep adding on, it's going to get extremely frustrating for every other team of Major League Baseball. Again, we're still going to continue to watch. We're going to root on the Giants, but there's always going to be this black cloud of the competition. What is the competition going to be like going forward for the next 5 or 6 years if there are certain teams that can do these deals and are willing to do these deals because they're in that type of market? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.